They're on good.
Morning. I can hear y'all. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Awesome. The Quants. Sorry.
All right. So one of the first things is, I guess we just want to say thanks to the Bridge Masterclass series for inviting us to facilitate this session today. It's quite important and timely, but we're always grateful for the opportunity. The second thing I want to say is, before we actually jump into it, we want this to be a really interactive session. And so if you have any questions or comments that you want to make on at any part during the presentation, you feel free to send a message.
They can barely hear us.
You can feel free to send a message in the group, or just chime in. I don't know how to adjust the volume.
Your volume is good here. I don't know. Perhaps she wants to turn up her volume.
All right. Okay. Good.
Yeah.
All right. So I guess with that being said, we'll kind of just jump right into it.
We'll give a little background history, I think. First, introduction.
Yeah.
Some context.
Introduction and
That's next. Sorry.
Where's the?
You want to share this?
All right. Yeah. So we're going to share the screen. Sharing this one. Well, you could introduce yourself.
So I'm Dekel Quant. It's going to be a very brief and very condensed introduction. I'm the lead instructor and owner of Bowflex Barbie Fitness. I'm also known as Bowflex Barbie. And just a little background, I grew up with a pretty active family. I was always into sports, always kind of moving for as much as I can remember. And what really sparked my interest in fitness as I would say first passion and then a career path was after I lost my mom when I was 14 to breast cancer. I started the gym. My brother was already in the gym and my dad was going to go with him, and I decided to join them. And that's what really sparked my passion for fitness, and that turned later on into a career. And through Bowflex Barbie Fitness, I've been able to kind of help people come to that same realization of how beneficial fitness can be, and how not just only in the physical aspect, but for me, what it was back then was more of a mental and emotional aspect. So that is pretty much what I do. I'm an International Sports Sciences Association personal trainer, a group fitness instructor, sports injury specialist, physique and figure training specialist, and I recently got certified in pre and postnatal corrective exercise specialist. So that is what I do. Yeah, here in Nassau, originally from Freeport, moved to Nassau 3 years ago, and then married this guy.
This guy. Yeah. So, well, my name is Ethan Quant. I guess my story starts with the fact that I used to be 306 pounds, and so my health, wellness, and fitness journey really started when I started my weight loss journey. I lost 110 pounds and really decided that I felt so good about it that I really wanted to make it my personal mission to help as many people as possible to transform their bodies as well. Because I do believe if you can help somebody transform their body, it can really transform their life. And so back in 2013, I founded Elite Wellness Solutions. And we started out doing individual fitness programming. And then we moved to corporate wellness back in late 2016. And so right now, Elite Wellness Solutions is the leading employee wellness and population health management firm in the Bahamas and the fastest growing in the Caribbean. And so we really help companies improve the health and well-being of their employees. I am a certified corporate wellness specialist, certified health and lifestyle coach. I have specializations in behavioral change, weight management, and fitness nutrition. And I'm the proud father of one good teenager, because her birthday was just last week, Rebecca. And I am the husband of the famous, world famous, internationally known Bowflex Barbie. So I feel really good about that. So yeah, so this presentation really is to give you guys some practical tools that you can start using immediately to really start working towards your health, wellness, and fitness goals, regardless of what they are or where you are on your journey. And so I think with that being said, we're just gonna jump right into it. And so, Mrs. Quant.
All right, so I'm going to be sharing just some tips that will be very useful to you if you're on a fitness journey, which I think a lot of people are, or contemplating starting one, or have decided that you want to start or restart and just kind of aren't really sure, you know, where to begin. These are just some tips to help guide you on that journey. So my first step is to have a clear and concise goal. I think Ethan and I, Ethan more so speaks a lot more about setting SMART goals. And I could actually let you describe the SMART goal model right in here.
Okay, so I mean, SMART is really an acronym for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. And all that means is that instead of having a vague goal as far as I want to lose weight, that's very vague, it's very ambiguous, and so it isn't very specific. And so what we want to do is take that very general goal and put it into turn it into a SMART goal. And so one of the first things I know I do with my clients is say, okay, well, you want to lose weight. One of the ways you can make that more specific is let's put a number on that. How much weight do you want to lose? And so let's say I want to lose 15 pounds. Okay, that's fine. You can measure that goal by, you know, hopping on the scale. You hop on the scale in regular intervals, whether that's once a week or twice a month or whatever, and then you can measure how much progress or lack thereof you're making towards the goal. The next thing is that you want to make sure that it's attainable. And attainable just means that, okay, well, I want to lose 15 pounds. Depending on your time frame would determine whether or not that's attainable or not. Case in point, if you say, what's a realistic
Healthy, sustainable weight loss is 1 to 2 pounds a week. So if someone comes in and says, I want to lose 15 pounds this week, that's not saying it's impossible, but it's not recommended, and it's highly unlikely that someone's going to do that naturally and in the most healthy and safe way.
Right. So you want to make sure that your goal is attainable. And so instead of saying I want to lose 15 pounds in a week, if you're looking at that 1 to 2 pounds a week healthily and safely, you may want to say then, okay, well, maybe I should look at stretching this over 2 to 3 months. And the next thing is that the goal has to be relevant to you. And this is very important because people tell me all the time, Ethan, you know what, I see you running on the strip, you should run a marathon. I have no desire to set a goal to run a marathon because I actually hate running. And so I only run because it's a part of what it is that I do. And so whatever goal you have, it should be relevant to what it is, relevant to you. It should line up with your values and your beliefs. And then, of course, you want to put a time frame on it. That's the T, time bound. You want to make sure that there is some sort of time frame that you set for yourself to accomplish this goal.
So yeah, that's the SMART goal model. And like Ethan said, this is pretty much just the step that really clearly defines what it is that you want to do on your fitness journey. So for some people, that could be, a lot of people, is weight loss. For some people, it's, you know, increasing muscle or putting on size. For some people, it's, I want to be fit, but what exactly does that look like? What exactly is that what exactly does that translate to? So how do we measure, you know, for me, being fit might be I'm able to run a 8-minute mile. For Ethan, being fit may mean I want to be able to walk upstairs and not feel so out of breath. So like knowing what that, you know, I guess what the measurable aspect is, and knowing exactly what that goal is specifically to you is very important as well. And yeah, so that covers the SMART goal, step 1, having a clear goal, making it as concise as possible. And then the next step is creating a plan of action. And so I always tell people the plan of action is not set in stone all the time, but it's a great place to start. So if we're going with Ethan's initial goal of, let's say, weight loss, now is the time where you can either do your own research, you can reach out to a professional to help you with this, and they're most likely going to take your stats and where you are right now with your goal, whatever that goal is, that very specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, time-bound goal. They're going to take all that information and figure out the best plan of action to help you get from where it is that you are after we make that assessment, which would be if you're trying to lose weight, your weight. Maybe someone is going to do, you know, some in-depth analysis of your nutrition, blood levels. Some people go into as in-depth as that, your body fat percentage, all of that, your activity levels right now, your family life, how much time can you dedicate to your fitness journey. They'll take all that into consideration and say, okay, well, with this goal, in order for us to actually achieve this is the plan of action that you're now going to need to take. And I think from Ethan's point of view, that can be, of course, even wider than just the physical activity and fitness aspect and nutrition aspect. It can be making, you know, overall lifestyle changes as well, figuring out where can I create this time for myself while balancing everything else that's going on in my life. So the action plan, it's very, very broad, I would say, or it should be pretty broad, pretty comprehensive as far as, you know, how do I navigate this journey from where I am to where it is that I want to be based on this goal that I've set for myself. So like I said, that can be, you know, there's a lot of free resources out there. That can be doing your own research and figuring out what type of workouts or training regimen, how many times a week do I need to dedicate, how much time do I need, what type of exercises are best based on my goal, what type of nutrition programming, what type of foods should I be eating based on my goal and where I am and where I want to be. I'm looking at both. Sorry, the monitor's over here and then the camera's over here. So if I'm all over the place, that's why. I'm gonna try to look here. Okay, sorry.
Look at the people.
All right, step 3, put in the work. Now this is I actually came up with this slogan today. I'm very proud of it. This is what separates dreamers from doers. So, you know, having your goal and even to the extent of creating a plan is really just an idea in the mind until you actually get out and do it. Like you have to now execute this plan that you have either put together yourself or got from a professional. It now comes down to actually doing the work. The idea of doing the work is great, but you definitely have to do the work. And I would say in the first instance, whether you're just starting out or you're restarting or you're pretty seasoned and familiar with fitness, you want to focus on still being consistent and just creating those habits that are healthy and sustainable that you can carry on throughout the rest of your life pretty much. I mean, whether obviously the goal may change, but I think the concept of being, you know, healthy, being fit, being active, and being well is something that you want to take with you for the rest of your life. So that goals may change, the action plans may change as you progress or, you know, you move through your journey. But the idea of still being consistent, holding yourself accountable, creating these healthy lifestyle habits is something that you want to keep with you always. And step number 3, I had 2, okay, 4, sorry, it's labeled wrong. Step number 4 is find accountability. So you want to hold yourself accountable, but also find ways to incorporate other people into your journey who will help you to be accountable. And for me, that has been my family, even like social media, some of my friends and people that I follow, groups that I follow on social media, my husband, of course. These are people that you've shared your goals with, that are supportive, supportive of you in that they want to see you achieve them, as well as they're willing to, if you call on them to help you with something, they are likely to help you with that. If you have a question, or in my case with Ethan, I'll ask him to cook something for me, or I need to bounce an idea off someone, maybe on social media. These are your accountability partners. These are people that you share your goals with, and you can count on them to check in with you and to kind of call you out if you are straying from what you need to be doing to achieve your goals. And this would be step number 5, technically, would be to give yourself grace. I also came up with this today. A slip up doesn't mean that you should give up. I think we can all, Ethan and I, can agree that we've not been completely perfect in our fitness journeys. I'm sure he has a even deeper story as far as coming from that 306-pound mark to losing 110 pounds. Like, that was not a straight line from one place to the next. That was a lot of slip ups and getting back up and starting again. For me as a fitness professional, even, it's constantly, repositioning, readjusting, and just continuously moving forward, accepting where you are, accepting that if you do slip up, this is where I am, this is what I've done. A tip that I have for that is, I know sometimes people feel like, when they fall off the wagon, it's like, it's so much harder to get started. They feel guilty. They feel like, let's say I lost a lot of weight, or I made some great progress towards my goal, and then the holidays came around, or my birthday came around, and I feel like I messed it all up. I may have put all the weight back on, or, I feel like I'm starting at square one. I want to just say, don't dwell on that. The fact is, if you still have the desire to reach this goal, and you still have the tools to reach this goal, then just get back on it. The truth of the matter is, if you're restarting, you actually are better equipped because you know that you have what it takes to make this progress. And try to hold on to the idea of how you felt when you sat down and realized, I have to start over. It's not a great feeling, but try to remember that and try to channel that when you feel like you want to give up again. So yeah, that's my advice. And there's just no such thing as a bad time to start or the wrong time to start. There's also no such thing as a perfect time to start. There's always going to be things that kind of make that moment not ideal. So you just have to start anyway. Just keep moving, making the small steps if necessary to get yourself closer to those goals and get yourself back on track to reaching them. And this is my last step. This is step 6, that your journey is very unique to you. And it's important to not compare your fitness journey to others. You want to be motivated and maybe inspired and educated by others, have them as your accountability partners maybe, but you also have to understand that we are all different. We know that we're all different. Our bodies are no different from that. Our bodies are all different. They respond to the same things sometimes differently, and that our journeys are going to reflect that. Our fitness journeys are going to reflect that. So just focus on yourself, focus on becoming the best version of you, focus on continuously trying to improve and create sustainable, lasting, healthy habits. And that is my last step. I think let me just pop into the chat. We may have got a chat. Okay. Thank you, guys. All right. And Ethan is going to go into his.
All right, before you move on right quick, anybody have any questions for the Quants before we move on to that other part?
For a second.
You can just unmute your mics and go ahead and ask.
Okay.
Anybody else?
No, I got no questions.
My question is, this is Keith. My question is as it relates to like motivation. I know everyone has their different motivations and stuff, but I found that as a former athlete in high school, that kind of motivated me to stay fit. But now that I'm obviously out of high school for years now, I kind of lost a lot of motivation, and I don't really have that reason to, because I don't have the physical, I still look fit. So like, what could I do, or what do you suggest to like kind of motivate me, seeing that now I'm not in a competitive nature and I don't really feel a reason to work out because I still feel and look fit?
Okay, I have a question. Are you 110% satisfied with the way that you look and feel?
Maybe 80.
Well, that's room for improvement. I mean, that's the whole reason behind, fitness is constant improvement. Whether you've hit your target or not, there's always something that you can improve on. Or even if you are completely satisfied with where you are, fitness is a journey that you don't, or something that you don't just achieve and then you sit down and you have it. Like, you have to continuously work to even keep it. So I would say, figure out, all right, you're 80% happy with where you are. What is it going to take to get you to 100%? Do you want to be leaner? Do you want to run faster? Do you want to increase the size of certain muscles? And then that'll be your motivation. Is there a special event coming up? I know that's what I use when I'm not getting ready for a bodybuilding show. I try to think, okay, what is a milestone on my birthday? Some stuff like that helps to kind of give me something to work towards. Like you said, you don't have the athletic side anymore, but you can still find, goals that will help you to kind of get closer to that 100%. And even once you get there, setting goals that'll help you maintain, what you have.
And I mean, even to add to that, Keith, thanks for the question. Something that I normally do with my clients is you want to know why it is that you're doing whatever, right? And so it's talking about knowing your why, or finding your why. And, one of the things I say is, when it comes to your health, wellness, and fitness journey, what are some areas of your life that improving your health, wellness, and fitness will have positive benefits on? So like, if there is something, how being healthier or fitter is going to improve the other areas of your life, or what effect is that going to have on the other areas of your life? And I often find that taking that train of thought normally helps people. But you want to find why it is that you're going to do it. And when you're talking about your why, there isn't any bad reason to want to improve your health, wellness, and fitness. Also, you want it to be something that's going to get you up. When you talk about not feeling motivated, and actually talking about motivation is part of my presentation and things that you can do. So we can get into that, but that's me. You want to find something, a reason. You want to find your why that's going to be strong enough to push you and give you that fire to work towards, like Dekel said. I hope that answered you. Did we answer your question?
Yeah, thank you. That helped a lot. Both answers.
Anybody else?
All right, I think we're good. That's the question I had too as well, in terms of motivation, but you guys kind of pretty much answered it. So we can continue.
All right, so now we gotta go to share.
At the bottom right there.
All right, so like I said, I'm a health and lifestyle coach, and so I like to think that I have a triple threat when it comes to health, wellness, and fitness. Because one, I was very unhealthy. I was morbidly obese at 306 pounds, and so I didn't just transform my body. I transformed my life. I didn't just lose the weight. I really built a body that in 2014 led me to be Mr. Bahamas. So I had the best body in the country. And up until I retired from competitive bodybuilding, roll your eye all you want. Up until I retired from competitive bodybuilding back in 2015, I had the 7th best body in the Caribbean and Central America. I placed 7th best. So, you know, I've been overweight, obese. I've struggled with that. I've been a part of the fitness industry. And then I became a health and lifestyle coach. And so one of the things that I recognized very early on, and it is one of two things that really transformed really put me on the trajectory to really transform my body, was recognizing that your body is a reflection of your lifestyle. And so if you want to change your body, you really have to change your lifestyle. There's no getting around it. You know, when you talk about health, wellness, and fitness, it isn't just a 4-week program or 8-week program, and all these things help, but they have to be done in the context of lifestyle modification and behavioral change. And so this is one of the areas that I specialize in. And so what I want to do now is talk about how you go about actually building healthy habits. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I had so many bad habits, and I still have some bad habits that I constantly struggle with. But what I had to do was I had to change those bad habits or remove them and replace them with new healthy habits. And so how do we do that, right? Looking at this diagram that we have on the screen now, it's the Fogg behavior model, right? And B is for behavior. And so behavior equals, that's motivation, ability, and trigger, right? And so really what happens is that this talks about the fact that new behavior is developed when your motivation meets your ability and is triggered by something. And so if we look on the motivation line, we see that low motivation, it goes from low motivation to high motivation. And on the ability line, it goes from hard to do to easy to do. Now, this actually totally smashes the myth that you need to be highly motivated in order to be successful in your health, wellness, and fitness journey. So definitely Keith, Stephen, I want you guys to pay attention to this, right? Because what this suggests, or what this is telling us, is that if you make the action easy enough to do, you really you're required to have very less low motivation. You don't need a lot of motivation if the task is easy. And so if we look at this, using an example, talking about cooking, right? If you cannot cook at all, if you don't know how to boil water, right? You have no cooking ability whatsoever. No matter how much you want to and how motivated you are to cook a Bahamian Sunday dinner, you will never be able to, because your ability is not there. And so you can be, in this scenario, you're highly motivated, but because the ability is very, you lack the ability, which makes this task very hard to do, you fall under the curve, which means that no matter what you do, you're going to fail, right? And so the only thing to get, to improve on that is to really increase your ability. So you got to take some cooking classes, go on YouTube, learn how to cook, and get your ability to match the point where your motivation, so that you can be above the line, right? Now, with that being said, oh yeah, that worked. So, because I was pointing on the screen. So what happens is that when a task is hard to do and you're not very motivated, you fall below the line, which means that you will not be successful in developing this new habit. Think about it. If working out is already a task for me, right? I feel as though it's very hard for me. I'm not very motivated, but I feel like I want to do something with myself. The harder it is for me to do, as far as getting up in the morning, that's very hard for a lot of people. And I'm very motivated. My motivation is very low to get up out of my nice warm bed in the morning. Chances are, if I decide that I'm going to start exercising in the morning, I'm going to fail. And so one of the first things I do, putting it in this context, is now say, okay, well, what is the easiest time for you to work out? Right? So you want to make it easy. It may be a situation. I had a client who said, you know what, I don't have time to work out. It's very hard. I'm not a morning person. But she realized that she had about 45 minutes while she was waiting on her daughter to come from swim practice. And so normally she would just sit down in the car and wait. And because that was 45 minutes that she was waiting, in any event, we pretty much came up with the idea that, okay, well, instead of sitting in the hot car, why don't you just do a lap or two around the field while your daughter's at swim practice? And so it made it a lot easier because that was already something that she was doing. All right. And so the idea here is that you want to make the task, especially when you're talking about building new behaviors, you want to make the task as simple and as easy as possible. I always share with my clients that you can never set the bar too low. The easier, the better. And what happens is that setting very low targets or assigning yourself very low tasks or easy tasks allows you to be successful in achieving those. And then you start to build capacity. And then what we talk about in the industry as success momentum. And so the easiest something is to do, the lower motivation you need. The harder something is to do, you need to be highly motivated. Case in point, Dekel is a competitive bodybuilder, and so she's highly motivated because she wants to present her best package on stage. But she is able to get up out of bed even though she doesn't feel like it. All right, I hope that's making sense. So when you're talking about building habits, you want to make sure that the habit that you're introducing is make it very easy to do. The next thing is that you want to try and attach it to something that you're already doing. In the case of my client, like I said, she was already waiting for her daughter for 45 minutes at swim practice. So that was something that she did in any event. And so all she did was to attach this new behavior, which was going for a walk while her daughter was at swim practice, to an existing behavior. And so I see a question is how to add on to your easy task. Well, like I said, the best thing to do is it's a strategy that we use called anchoring. And what that means is that you're going to attach the new behavior to an existing behavior that you already do. Case in point, when I started training in the morning, it was very hard for me to get up and get out and then fumble around in the dark to find my clothes. And so what I did was I realized that before I go to bed at night, I normally plug my phone in the living room and then I go to bed. And so what I started doing was I attached taking my workout clothes for the morning, for the next morning out at that same time. So I would plug in my phone for charge and then I would go in the room and take out my training clothes. And so that's called anchoring. You pretty much put the new behavior after an existing behavior, and that makes it a bit easier. Something else that you can do is set alarms. When I was really trying to get my eating under control and eating on time, one of the things that I did was I set my alarm. And so what the setting of the alarm and the plugging in of the phone, these are things that are called triggers. And so these are things that happen to sort of remind you or prompt you to really take on the new behavior, okay? And so that's it. But a key to being successful on your health, wellness, and fitness journey is to build healthy and new habits, okay? All right, now, and keep in mind that this is a presentation that I normally do in about 90 minutes, so this is super condensed, but feel free to ask questions if you want me to go a bit deeper on any of these. Now, something else that is very important and is really essential to your success when you're talking about health, wellness, and fitness is what we eat. And I'm not even talking about, macronutrients and counting calories and this diet and that diet. The practice of mindful eating is very important. And all it is mindful eating is a process and a journey and a self-study of understanding your thinking patterns, emotional moods, appetites, and habits related to food without judgment. Nothing is off limits. There's no good or bad, just healthy and unhealthy. And so we have a tendency, and I've done it and I still do it from time to time, but we have a tendency to say, okay, well, this is good food and bad food. And things like that. And we should not villainize food. Food is food, right? And so is it healthy or unhealthy? But even to get a bit further. Is this going to get me closer to my goals, or is this going to get me further away? And the idea is that if you consistently do things that get you closer to your goals, you're going to be successful in attaining them. But the mindful eating cycle really asks yourself, you ask yourself several questions. One is, why do I eat? And when we're talking about why do I eat, the reality is that over 80% of people in the world don't eat because they're hungry. We eat for other reasons. I know when I was 306 pounds, and even now, I eat because I was sad. I eat because I was happy. I eat sometimes because I'm bored. I eat when I'm stressed. I eat when we're celebrating. We eat when we're mourning. I mean, think about it. You know, everything, especially here in the Bahamas, we eat for all occasions. We eat because it's Tuesday. You know, but the idea of this, why do we eat, is really important, because when we really strip it down, a lot of us are eating for not just because we're hungry, we're eating for other reasons too. Taco Tuesday. And so we want to make sure that we ask ourselves, why do we eat? And something I say, you know, like, why am I eating? When I open up the fridge, and Dekel calls me out on it all the time. She said, what you doing in there? You ain't hungry. And no, it's not because I'm hungry. I'm just in there and I'm eating sometimes because the food is there.
That's the big danger now too. Like with everybody at home, it's like, I think we have the boredom eating, stress eating. We're being flooded with all this stuff on the media, and it's like, what do? You eat. Now you're eating for comfort, and because you're bored, and because you're stressed, and then because it's Taco Tuesday.
Yeah, Taco Tuesday. So that's something. The next question in mindful eating cycle is, when do I want to eat? This is very, very important, especially when you're talking about triggers and understanding your patterns and emotional moods and appetites and habits when it comes to eating. And so if we really, like, case in point, I know for me, I used to really eat and I crave certain foods when I'm super stressed. And so if I have a very stressful day, I crave certain foods. And so when you're eating, and the things that trigger you to eat besides hunger, is very important to understand when you eat. The second thing is what you eat. And when we're talking about what you're eating, we aren't just talking about, like I said, there isn't any good food or bad food, but really how much food are you eating as well. And so we understand that, one, we have a very hard time distinguishing between, we don't know portion sizes versus serving sizes, and we also don't know the amount of food and drink we consume in a day. And so one of the things that I like to do is, I mean, before I used to suggest that my clients keep a food journal, but that's really tedious. And so what I now suggest is, because you're going to take a picture of your food for Instagram in any event, just start a little photo diary of what it is that you eat. So every time you go to consume something, every time you go to drink something or eat something, you just take a picture of it. And what you will realize that over a couple of days, you will start to see patterns. And this is everything that you eat from, you know, if you just get a little candy bar, or you have a full breakfast, or you drink a can of soda or a bag of chips or a hot party and a bite them all, like literally everything. And you'll be surprised to see exactly what it is that you're eating. And so you can't really change what you don't know. And so if you don't really know what you're eating, it's hard to really change it, right? And so asking yourself, what do I eat, is very important in the mindful eating cycle.
Is there a bad reason for eating if you're eating for your goals?
No, well, that's the reason you're eating for your goals, right? And so this is something that comes up, especially when you're talking about people who want to, not even just put on weight, but people who want to get in that habit of increasing their metabolic rate, and so they're eating more frequently. Because I find too that a lot of the overweight clients that I work with, a lot of them say, well, I don't really eat a lot. I'll probably have 1 or maybe 2 meals a day.
I also think that that's a point at the taking the photos of the food, because sometimes people say, oh, I don't eat that much, but in their mind, it doesn't seem like a lot. But if you're having, you know, cookies for breakfast, a candy bar for lunch, and a big, huge plate of I don't know, 2 meats, 3 sides, and a starch, you might say, well, I really didn't eat that much. I ate 3 times today, but that's probably a solid 3,000 calories. So sometimes people, that their conception of what, just because I ate only twice or 3 times, or once, I didn't eat a lot, but I ate, but you may have consumed a whole lot that you may not remember. I had the cookies, I had the candy, but I only had, this is my only real food. But taking the photos, I think would also help with realizing that too.
So as far as, the reason you're eating is because you have a goal. And if you've gotten your program from a credentialed professional who is guiding you through this process, you want to make sure that eating, and keep in mind that there's a difference between eating healthy and eating for your goal. And so you want to make sure that you are eating consistently for your goals, or your eating reflects what your goals are, and of course then your training complements that, right? The next question is, we want to ask ourselves, how do we eat? And it's funny because I, especially before COVID, right? I mean, I spent a lot of time on the road, so I would often eat in my car. Like, I would literally have my food packed, eat in my car. But asking yourself how you eat is really, where are you when you're eating? Are you eating because you're stressed and under duress, or are you eating just to hurry up, shovel food in your mouth? Or are you standing up and eating? Are you comfortable? Is eating an experience for you? And so just paying attention to how you eat is important when you're talking about the mindful eating cycle. Like I said before, how much do I eat is very important, because we don't know generally the difference between a serving size and portion sizes. When we look at the fact that, especially when we're home, or even if we go to some restaurants, what they're giving us to eat is really, in some instances, 2 or 3 servings, but we eat it all in one sitting. Yeah, and when you go to certain restaurants, you want to eat, but knowing how much you're eating is very important. Paying attention to serving size, because really, the body doesn't need, 20 or more realistically, the body doesn't need 4 or 5 servings of a particular meal. But paying attention to serving size and portion sizes goes a very long way in understanding and knowing how much it is that you eat. Now, this is a question, when you're talking about where do I invest my energy? Like, remember now, all food is fuel for the body. And so just like your car, you're only going to put gas in your car if you got places to go. If you don't have anywhere to go and nothing to do, you aren't going to put fuel in your car. And so your body is pretty much the same way. But I'll be honest that I never really thought about how I'm going to invest my energy, like where am I going to use this food, until I started competing. And I really started understanding the importance of food timing and stuff like that, and carb loading and all that stuff. But most people, regular people who aren't competitive athletes, don't think about where.
Yeah, but you still have you need just for your basic daily function, you need a certain amount of calories. And so, as we say, just to get up and move around and do my daily regular task, I need so much food to be converted to energy. And then on top of that, now that I'm eating all this other stuff, what am I doing with this extra energy, I guess?
And that's what I'm saying. That's a question that a lot of people don't ask themselves. We don't ask ourselves, okay, well, what am I going to do with this pizza that I'm eating? I'm loading up on this pizza. Where am I going to use this energy? We often don't ask ourselves that. And then even if we do, reality is that a lot of us just use it and then go sit down. We aren't any more active. And so really, if you think about it, the formula for weight loss is quite simple. You consume less calories than you burn, which means that you burn more calories than you consume. And so if you do this over time, repeatedly, that's how you actually lose weight. And so there are different ways to create a caloric deficit, which is the consumption of less calories than you burn. And that's either through eating less calories or burning more calories through increased physical activity. And so this mindful eating cycle is something very important that you guys, and this is before you start talking about counting calories and eating macros and this, that, and X and all these funny stuff. Just ask yourself, why do I eat? When do I want to eat? What do I want to eat? How do I eat? How much do I eat? And where am I going to invest all of this good energy? And that starts the process of this mindful eating cycle.
We had a question from Alicia. I want to say it's pretty long. I'm going to let Ethan finish and then we'll go back to it. I've read it, but I already read it. Yeah.
All right.
So I got you.
Okay.
Very good question.
All right. So now this is something else that I think, well, I know is very important. When we talk about the 3 pillars of healthy and fit lifestyles, we talk about healthy behavior interventions. We talk about, of course, diet, nutrition, and then the next one is physical activity and understanding physical activity. Now, as a health and lifestyle coach, I don't care whether you going in the gym, lifting weights, you're doing Zumba, you're doing CrossFit, or you're running and training for a marathon. I don't care what you do, or you're just dancing around. If you want to live a healthy and fit lifestyle, if you want to improve on your health, wellness, and fitness journey, understanding physical activity is going to be very important. And pretty much there are 4 main phases of physical activity, and depending on you and your goals and what it is that you're doing, you may fall in either one or several of these, right? And so phase 1 is really physical activity, and understanding the textbook definition of physical activity is simply movement of the body. It is moving the body in such a way that you burn energy. And so if you have watched my 10-step guide to healthier lifestyle, you know, it's just movement of the body. Remember that? But that's all physical activity is. It's not exercise. It's really just moving your body. That could be going outside and gardening. That could be dancing around for 20 minutes, listening to Junkanu. That could be whatever you're doing to move your body, right? And so now when we're talking about understanding physical activity, the first phase is really physical activity for stability and mobility training, all right? This is very important because you would find that people who are morbidly obese would fall into this category because sometimes they have challenges really just being able to stabilize and move, right? So this is stability and mobility training. Somebody else that falls into this category is maybe somebody who had sustained an injury and you're doing some rehab work, some rehabilitative work, and so you're working with a physiotherapist or somebody like that. You would also fall into this category. Also, somebody who's learning a new skill would also fall into this category. Like if you're, I don't know, if you decide that you want to learn how to do a backflip, you may fall into this category as well, or you're doing some sort of specialized training. And so phase 1 is really physical activity for stability and mobility training. The next thing is movement training, which is phase 2, and this is physical activity for health. Sorry, physical activity for phase 1 is physical activity for function, right? The second phase is physical activity for health. And so this is really movement training. This is the type of training that you're doing to improve your cardiovascular health, right? And so how that looks is, let's say you want to walk up the stairs without a flight of stairs without being winded, or you want to just start the process of getting healthier because you're sick. This is the type of physical activity you're going to be engaged in. And oftentimes is very low impact. It isn't quite exercise. It's really just increasing the movement of the body. And so that means taking a longer walk, walking further away from the front door of the store, or like I said, you know, walking up the flight of stairs instead of using the elevator. Phase 3 of the understanding physical activity, or what this is known as is the physical activity continuum, is load training. This is physical activity for fitness. So these are the fitness enthusiasts, the people who say, you know what, I want to get in shape. And so maybe they're doing things like weight training, some sort of resistance, whether it's weight training, using body weight resistance, calisthenics, stuff like that. But this is where you're training now to increase your fitness level. And of course, phase 4 is training for performance. And so you would find that a lot of competitive athletes would fall into this category when they're on season and they're getting in shape for whatever competition they have. This is a lot more dynamic training. Like I said, it doesn't matter what your discipline is, whether you're a bodybuilder, a triathlete, or somebody who plays golf. Anybody that's training for athletic performance or competitive or training for competition would normally fall into phase 4 of this. It's very important because we hear all the time, and I'm sure Dekel could attest with, where people come in, they want to do a high impact class, but they don't have the ability for whatever reason. Or somebody says, oh, well, I have bad knees. Well, if you have bad knees, maybe starting out with a high impact class that requires you to do a lot of jumping and prancing and things like that may not be the best. Prancing, some classes do prancing, may not be the best. And so understanding where you fall in this continuum is very important, because one of the things that you don't want to do is to start an activity that actually increases or causes you to be injured, and then you can't do anything. And something else with physical activity is you want to do something that you like to do, right? Especially if you're not highly motivated to be more physically active, do something that you actually enjoy doing. If you don't like to run and you're just getting into this thing, you don't have to run. Regardless of what people say, you don't have to run. Literally, you can just stand in your mirror, turn on some music, and jump around for 10, 15 minutes. Right? Remember, physical activity is just movement of the body. But whatever it is that you do, if you like to swim, go swim. If you like to row, go row. If you like to walk, go walk. If you like to garden, garden. Just think of ways that you could actually increase your physical activity through movement of the body, and make sure it's something that you actually like doing. That's very important, because the more you like it, the more likely you are to continue it and actually stick with it. All right, now this is a big one. As far as saying that, I know when I started my journey, there were so many professionals, so many experts that told me I should try this and I should try this, and this is the right way to do it and this is the wrong way to do it. And the reality is that I tried so many things because I was very desperate to lose the weight. And so one of the first things that I did was I Googled how to lose weight fast. And Google gave me lots of answers, and I tried most of them. I did all of the diets. I did Weight Watchers, I did Atkins, I did Zone, I did the paleo diet, I did the Daniel fast, I did the grapefruit diet, I did the cabbage soup diet. I remember one time, because be careful of them, they told me that I should try and make a mixture of ground coffee beans and hemorrhoid cream and saran wrap it around my waist. I did try that.
Sounds very
yeah, it was very uncomfortable. But my thing is that I tried so many things. And so I don't knock anybody who wants to try something, especially if you're very motivated. I say try it. People come to me all the time. They say, hey, what do you think about this diet? Or what do you think about this program? My thing is that if it sparks your interest, try it. But what I also encourage them to do is, before you try anything, you want to consult your physician, right? Because the last thing you want to do is put yourself in a position where you're actually worse off than you are when you're coming in. And meaning that you don't want to do something that's going to cause your health, wellness, and fitness to further deteriorate. You don't want to do anything that's going to put you at risk of becoming more unhealthy. And so once you've done that, I say try it. And the benefit of trying different things is that you find what works for you. The example that I use when it comes to this is that, if you have the number 10 and your goal is to get to the number 10, there are many different ways that you can get to 10. You can do 8 plus 2, you can do 5 plus 5, you can do 20 minus 10, you can do 9 plus 1. There are many different ways to come to the same conclusion. And so it's okay to try it. I don't knock it. If you want to try fat burners, if you want, whatever you want to try, like I said, but before you start any sort of fitness or diet or supplementation, you want to make sure that you get clearance from your physician first. That's very important. And I'm not talking about your physician as in WebMD. I'm talking about go to your actual doctor, say, hey, doc, I'm thinking about this. Is this something that you would recommend, or is this something that could potentially harm me in the long run? Do your research, but I say try it. I am the last person. I will not judge you. I have tried so many things. I've tried waist training, slim teas, all kind of lotions and potions and pills. But the most success and what ultimately led to my ultimate success in my transformation was putting it in the context of health, wellness, and putting it in the context of lifestyle. You want to put your health, wellness, and fitness journey in the context of lifestyle, okay? And that's very important. But with that being said, try it, man. If somebody say, hey, you know what, I got this new diet, and this worked for me, and you want to try it, try it. But remember that just because it works for them doesn't mean it'll work for you, but you would want to find out if it does, all right? Now, this is something that's also very important in talking about your success blueprint. The reality is that I had failed so many times. I had so many failed attempts at, losing weight and transforming my body. And I honestly, at one point, had come to terms with the fact that I was going to be fat for the rest of my life, and I was just going to die fat. And that really stuck with me. But it wasn't until I was having a conversation, I honestly can't remember how this came about, but it was just the notion that that there's some area in your life, there's nobody in the world that sucks at everything. There's nobody in the world that fails at everything. There's some area of your life that you are excelling in. Whether that's at work, whether that's at school, whether that's being an awesome gamer, whether that's being a good friend, a good son, a daughter, like partner, whatever. There's something, maybe you're the coolest uncle in the world or the coolest godmother in the world. Like there's some area in your life where people are looking at you and being like, wow, you're killing it. And you can use that because the things that that cause you to be successful in one area of your life really are the same things that you're going to need to be successful in other areas of your life, specifically your health, wellness, and fitness journey. And so to demonstrate this, I remember I had a conversation with a sales team, right, for an insurance company. And I came in, and this is, really the top sales team in the country. And so many of them said, oh, well, I have a problem with weight loss. I can't get healthy. I can't get fit. I don't have any stickability, this, that, next. And so I said, okay, that's fine, but we aren't here to talk about, health, wellness, and fitness. I really want to learn from you guys. How did you become the best sales team? What are the things that you did? And they went off listing the characteristics and the strategies that they did. They said, hey, you know what? It's dedicated, it's working long hours, it's networking, it's meeting people, it's being committed to your craft, it's continuously learning, and all of these different things. And really, when we look at what it takes to be successful in your health, wellness, and fitness journey, it's really the same stuff. So regardless of what it is that you're trying to be successful in, whether it's health, wellness, and fitness, your relationships, learning a new skill, whatever it is, the principles of success are universal. And so if you have been successful in one area of your life, you already have the blueprint to be successful in the other areas of your lives, okay? So with that being said,
You want to go on?
yeah, I think that's it. With that being said, that is the end of our presentation. Thank you. And so, yeah, we had a question.
So the question was, well, yes. Felicia, if I'm pronouncing your name right. I started the gym late January. It became an escape from everything. I was in the gym from Monday to Friday after I completed my school drop-off. I'm not a morning person because I have zero core strength, and I wanted to increase my stamina. I did it. I've literally lost my escape and my drive all at once. The distractions at home are stressful. How can I find peace so I can continue my journey? I actually did a video on this a few weeks ago, just kind of tips on if you are someone, I mean, obviously the gyms are closed down, so we can't go to the gym. Like you said, you lost your, the place, and you lost the peace and the escape. My suggestions for this would be to try to mimic almost the same routine that you had, if you can, at home. So for me, that meant still waking up early. I still wake up and work out at the same time. I'm up at between 4 and 5 a.m. I'm training early, and I plan out all my workouts. So just like, I don't know if you follow the same routine, but usually I know what I'm training before I go to the gym. I have a plan. I have it in a Google Sheets, and I just pull it up. I pull up my workout for the day, which I would have planned maybe on the weekend or the night before, and I execute that day that I wake up. So I would say if you've done that same thing, or try to incorporate it, I find that the more structure you have in your fitness regimen, the better, and the less guesswork and the less easily distracted you are. So like I said, for me, my regimen was getting up early, still trying to work out within the same time frame that I would if I was going to the gym, figuring out exactly what I'm doing. And that could be, if you have equipment or body weight stuff that you like to do at home, or if you want to follow along with a YouTube video, or you're tuning into someone's live session, they have a schedule or whatever, then make it that, but try to make it something that is kind of structured and is a habit and is a ritual, just like it would be when you were going to do your school drop off and you would go to the gym right after. Try to make it almost kind of habitual like that. I think that would be my biggest advice. And then try to, maybe, you said you have a lot of distractions. I don't know if there are other people or in your house, or just like you just don't feel like super focused while you're doing it. You can have that discussion with the people, or try to do it like at a time when they're kind of distracted and not in the way, or not distracting you. Or try to sneak away and do your workout at a time when you can have that time to yourself. You're saying kids, so yeah, or let them join in. I mean, that's a good if they're old enough, obviously, let them cheer you on, let them be involved if they can. So that way you kind of kill two birds in one stone.
Yeah, I mean, and just kind of add to that, you want to we want to be aware that, okay, we want to look at our current situation and see what we can reasonably do based on where we are and what we have access to right now. So yeah, we don't have the gym, but what can we do now? And that's very important. And in like I said, I mean, going back to understanding your behavior, right? And understanding that if you make the task very easy, maybe before, I don't know, when you went up, when you used to train, used to be in the gym for an hour, right? Maybe you say, okay, well, based on now what's going on with the kids and being at home, I have even 10 minutes, 5, 15 minutes. But there is some time, just look at the pockets of time that you have now. Look at your day. You're the expert in your day. You know exactly when you have time versus when you don't have time. You know when the kids get up, when they go to sleep. You know what you're doing. And so really just look at that and think of, okay, well, based on where I'm at now, I can probably carve out X amount of time. And then just do something with that, But we can't we don't want to sit and think, oh, well, I remember when I could be in the gym for 2 hours, because we don't have the luxury anymore. That's an adjustment that all of us had to make. But we can say, okay, well, you know what? I can't go training at 4 o'clock anymore, but I could get out and do my 90 minutes, however you want to spend that, And so I think that's an adjustment that all of us had to do, because unless you have a commercial gym in your backyard, you had to make some adjustments. And so I changed my whole training style to accommodate my new circumstances. And so that's all it is. Just make the adjustments of how you execute the goal, or how you execute to get to the goal. That's what I would suggest. How did Ethan deal with the skin after? All right, so, and this is something, and this is why it's very important with rapid weight loss, right? The reality is that I did it in such a way where, like I said, I didn't just lose the weight. And so what happens is, an example that I give is, if you have a pillowcase, right, and you just take out all of the stuffing out of the pillowcase, it'll just be an empty pillowcase. It's the same size. But if you take out the stuffing and take out the stuffing from the pillowcase and then put other stuff in the pillowcase, okay, that's a bad example. Yeah, okay. So pretty much what I was trying to say is that my skin was able to retain elasticity because I didn't just lose fat, I built muscle, right? And so building muscle really did help. But with that, there's certain areas, like especially my lower abs and my lower back, where I actually still do have that small amounts of excess skin, no matter how lean I get, and it's very annoying, but no matter how lean I get, I still have that excess skin. What I always suggest for clients is, lose the weight first, build the muscle first, see what you're working with afterwards. But chances are, if you, coming like I did from 300 and something pounds, you are going to have some loose skin in certain areas. Like I said, for me, my problem areas would be my lower abs. And so, I'll have my full six pack and this, and then you just got this flap of skin that, that I've been able to hide for photo shoots. But everybody who has any sort of extreme weight loss would be left with excess skin in certain areas, unless you have that skin grab, where you have the skin. Yeah, but you have the skin surgically removed.
Some of it is also genetic. Like, you have some people that are able to lose that extreme amount of weight and like not have any excess skin. I think people, it varies. You do have some people that are able to, like, their skin is able to come, back and be super elastic. But like Ethan said, I think people make that decision based on, how comfortable they are after that weight loss, whether they want to do the surgery or just kind of, make it work.
Yeah, but I mean, it isn't anything crazy, but that's the biggest thing. But the idea would be is to build muscle.
The more muscle you build, the better position,
right.
The less
loose skin
you would have. Skin you have, because you still have that.
But you still, the pillowcase is still filled with something, yeah.
Yeah, it's not just deflated.
Right, and that was one of the biggest things that I wanted to do. I didn't want to just lose weight. I didn't want to look like a deflated version of myself. I actually wanted to build a muscle, and so even if you look at my transformation pictures and things like that, you would see that I really took the time to actually build a body, and that's what I wanted. So my body composition actually changed as well, because I had the shoulders, chest, all that stuff.
So humble.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I think that's really, do we have any questions? The biggest obstacles of procrastination. I have an issue with online issues.
I would say don't rely on motivation. I would say motivation is not reliable, because even as a fitness instructor, fitness professional, I can tell you firsthand, there are a lot of days that I am not motivated to work out. Focus on the habits, focus on your why, make your reason for doing it visible, something that you see every day, something that you're reminded of constantly. And I think those are actually the days that count even more than when you're motivated and you feel great and everything is, working smoothly. On the days when you say, okay, well, my health is not great, and I'm not able to do what I ideally would like to do, which may be, I don't know, a jog or a super long lifting session or something, I'm going to have to improvise. So this means that, okay, I'm going to work out a little bit shorter, but I would suggest still do it. Like, don't put it off. If you know that, okay, I need to get started, stop putting it off and just start doing it, because the motivation is if it comes and when you have it, it's great, but it's gonna fade. There's gonna be days that you don't feel motivated. So I would say just focus on, being disciplined and creating a schedule, creating your plan and sticking to that as much as possible. While also listening to your body, knowing when, rest days and all that are also important, but knowing when your body is telling you, okay, you need to take a break versus your mind kind of, we all have those debates in our mind, like I should do this. And then the other side of you is like, well, I also deserve this over here. So, I would say just don't rely on motivation to always be there, because it won't.
Yeah, and I mean, understanding, okay, so gout is a serious thing that you want to take into consideration as well. And so one of the things that I do is when you have a flare-up, right, think about what did I do that actually caused this flare-up, right? What triggered the flare-up? And then you can consistently go and kind of reverse engineer it, and you can kind of cut off before, that point that caused you to have the flare. Case in point, I used to, like I said, in my head, you ran to lose weight. Even though I hate running, I would run and lose weight. But I would say, okay, well, I can go for a 45-minute run, right? And I say run because I really was skating. But I would go for a run, and then the next day, my knees would be in so much pain. They would be like big balloons. And then I couldn't run for 3-4 days because they were swollen. And so I said, well, this isn't making any sense. And so what I started doing, though, was I started consistently running for shorter periods. So I would run for 20 minutes, walk for 10 minutes. So I got a 30-minute run, 30 minutes of physical activity in, but I was able to do that consistently for consecutive days, as opposed to running for 45 minutes, then not being able to work out because I was in so much pain for 3 days. And so there's always a point right before the flare-up or the injury is triggered. And the idea is to get as close to that point without having an episode, a flare-up, and then but being able to do that more consistently. And so, like Dekel said too, but that's going to take consistency over motivation, quote unquote.
I think just that, like, as you kind of get into the habit of doing it and the routine, and you have that structure, it becomes a lot easier. It becomes something that you don't necessarily have to think about too much, or kind of like prep yourself, which I think in the early phases you kind of do have to kind of like hype yourself up to do your workouts, and even to get like your healthy meals and stuff in. A lot of times it is like a lot of self hype, but as you do it more consistently and it becomes a habit, it becomes a part of your routine, it becomes to the point where, I feel off if I don't do it. When it gets to that point, which I would say typically is like, 2-3 months of consistency. It could vary, it could be shorter, it could be longer, but I would say focus on building consistency, creating that habit, creating those habits, and you'll find that it becomes a lot easier to execute and, avoid procrastination and putting it off.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. So, what would you advise on a diet change first?
Oh, that's another question.
Yeah. So, what would you advise on a diet change first?
I would say they work simultaneously, but if you had to choose one over the other to do first, I would say your diet. I would say diet because you're eating already now, and it's easier to setting the bar low. It's easier to to just make healthier choices, and that doesn't mean like I have to now clean out my cabinets and take all the bad things out and only put organic and fruits and vegetables in there. But that just means, okay, if I used to have 2 servings of rice a day, I may only have 1. Or if I used to have 3, I may only have 2. Or, just making healthier choices, adjusting your diet, and then adding in your physical activity if you had to choose between one or the other. But ideally, you'd want to do both simultaneously.
But I wouldn't say disagree. My approach would be slightly different. I would say which is the easiest for you to start, right? Because if you were like me, I don't touch my diet. When I was 306 pounds, I can eat what I don't want to eat. But it may be easier for you to start with a 10, 15, 20-minute walk 3 times a week or twice a week, right? And so the reality is that in this instance, think about which is the easiest for you to start incorporating into. I mean, I get anxiety sometimes, but I remember I used to get anxiety when I used to think about changing my diet, like rice. I was like, oh my goodness, I can't have any more peas and rice. I'm going to die. Just kill me now. But I could say, you know what, I could work it all day. And even now, it's easier for me to go to the gym and work out than to not have cake. Because if cake is in the house, I'm going to eat it.
Yes, that's true. A lot of people, I think that's probably the biggest struggle for a lot of people on.
But it all depends on your current circumstance. So just think about physical activity, diet, nutrition. Which one is easier for me to make that first change to? Some people may be highly motivated to get out to the gym because it's easier. Well, they enjoy the gym more, but they have kids at home, so they can't really get out and work out, and so they have all these other things. But it's easier for them to control what they eat in the house, you know. So it really depends on which is easier for you, and then you start there, and then what you will find is that it'll be as you go, you're able to really just add because you're building capacity as you go.
All right. Any other questions for the quants? No other questions? All right, guys, your last comments. Tell us where we can find you. Last advice for people watching here today.
All right, well, I mean, I'm pretty easy to find on social media. I pretty much use it's at Ethan Quant on Instagram. So you can just feel free to hit me up there. I'm more so on Instagram than Facebook. And my YouTube is EQ the Fit CEO. So you can check that out. And just final thought, just be easy with yourself, man. I mean, you know, just be patient with yourself. Take time. Give yourself an opportunity to build capacity. Start off easy and just go from there. But, you know, reach out to people. If you need help, ask for help. And just continuously grow. Just be, like, take small steps. Like, I can't stress that enough. No bar is too low. No step is too small as long as it's heading in the right direction. And just be patient with yourself. That's my final stuff.
Yeah, I agree. My social media, all handles are Bowflex Barbie. I've got a YouTube channel, free train along workouts. It's Bowflex Barbie Fit TV. Yeah, bowflexbarbie.com, all that great stuff. And yeah, same thing that Ethan said. I think he summarized it pretty well. Just, you know, keep moving forward, making those small but necessary changes, and focus on, like I said, creating the habit, creating the consistent, you know, consistent progress towards what it is that you want to achieve. And that's it.
Thank you, guys.
All right, good stuff. Great presentation. I will definitely be calling upon the quants. You gotta get this body under control here.
It's gonna be a good summer, you know?
Yes, it will. Thank you guys once again. Join us at 6 p.m. with Sandina Neely. She'll be having a master's session with on women's empowerment. That's a good one for all of the ladies here. See you guys there. Thanks so much, Quants. And
All right, thank you for having us.
we will see you guys later.
Bye. Shout out to my good cousin, Davina.
Hey, good presentation, guys. Happy to support.